Hey everyone, and welcome to round 2 of Corona Quarantine Thirsty Thursday Real Estate Edition with me, Kirk. How are you? Hope everyone is holding up okay in our quarantines wherever we are, and we're all surviving and not losing our minds too quickly. I know for me, especially being a very extroverted person, being stuck at home for this long without real people interactions in person is weighing on me a little bit, but I'm making do with still having some showings and phone calls and using Zoom meetings with friends and things. So hopefully you find an outlet or a way you can rebalance yourself in this current climate and condition that we're dealing with here, having to stay at home. Today, though, I did want to have our main topic be home inspections. I bring that up because I just had one yesterday for a friend of mine. We're closing on his house at the beginning of May. Hopefully closing on his house beginning of May if the contract continues. But we had his inspection yesterday, and a few things that I really like to mention to my clients for during inspections, especially when picking an inspector or knowing an inspector or things to look out for, things to listen for. The inspector that I have, his name is Phil Anello with PK Quality Home Inspections. I was referred to him, I think, from one of my first clients. We had a building review for a 3-flat, and she ended up finding his information, and he showed up for one of our inspections there, and I've used him ever since. It's over 5 years now. He's incredibly detailed. He is a little bit more liberal when it comes to his estimates for repairs, which is usually better for the buy side because that's a little bit more of a bargaining chip when it comes to your attorney review period and your inspection reviews. He's very patient, easy to understand, and he also doesn't have any issue explaining any question that client or even myself as an agent has ever had regarding parts of an inspection or regarding parts of a home or regarding functionalities of different mechanical parts, things like that. So it's always important, I feel, to have someone on your team, as I call mine, my team of people, that really wants to take the time to do their job well, as what they're hired for, but then also enjoys it and is thorough enough that they can re-explain what they do in a way that a client or an agent who's not necessarily technically or mechanically inclined could understand. And I found that with Phil, and that's why I've used him for 5 years now. But what happens during an inspection, if you've never gone through one, basically is a hired professional with a company. There's several companies, a lot of independent home inspectors, 1099 contractors, stuff like that. But they come through and basically check the meat and bones of the home or condo that you're trying to purchase. So they'll check for foundational issues, concrete work that needs to be done, tuck pointing on brick. They'll check for mold, mildew, and wood rot in your roof paneling, in your fascia boards on the outside of the house. They'll check for any sort of holes, electrical issues, which can often be huge and expensive, as well as your larger mechanical issues like your heating and cooling HVAC systems and all your duct work, your vents, and then things down to the washer dryer and the dishwasher in the kitchen. So they're there to review all of those parts in a more technical and detailed fashion than a normal person, like i.e. a buyer or even a realtor, if they're not also a licensed inspector, would do, so that they can see if there's any issues, explore any possible options for repair, or kind of give you a timeline as to how long certain things will last. If parts in the house are maintained, and you're buying an older home with older equipment, but that equipment's been maintained properly, it's a little less concerning than when your inspector comes through and says this hasn't been touched in 10 years, because most HVAC systems, your heating and your cooling, your water heaters, your tanks, all that stuff, if it's properly maintained, which is usually once for the winter season and once for the summer season, I believe is the usual schedule. You can do it all 4 seasons if you want, but typically you have the heat on for a certain amount of time and the cold air on for a certain amount of time. So before you start one, you want to get it cleaned and checked, and and the other system, you might as well get it done at the same time. You can do it once a year, but at least that way both systems are clean and ready to go for the next set of seasons that we get. Now in Chicago, it was just snowing here, and it was 75 degrees a couple days ago or yesterday. So we get all 4 seasons kind of whenever. So it's a little hard to have a better maintenance schedule here, but if you live in a more temperate or controlled kind of climate area, you do have, you could budget that and schedule that out a little bit easier. But it's important to keep those things maintained in your home, so that way when the inspection comes through, he doesn't say this all needs to be replaced, because then on your side as the seller too, you stand to have to give them a credit or pay a certain amount of dollars, hundreds to thousands of dollars, to either have the ductwork cleaned and the system's completely replaced because they're dysfunctional. They could kill somebody. I mean, there's lots of things that could happen if you don't properly maintain yourself as an owner. But on the buy side of things, all of these little details that we get in our inspection reports from our inspectors, to varying degrees of detail and everything like that, are all of our bargaining chips during what's called AI, which is your attorney and inspection review period. And that is when you get your buy side and the sell side attorneys involved in the actual contract that's already been executed. We as the buyers, so like my friend, we are the buyers. We were just for the inspection yesterday, and we got all the details. We got the report back. There's some red flags. Obviously, not everything's gonna be perfect. It's not a brand new house. There's some serious stuff and some not so serious stuff, and so that's up to my client, the buyer, to then figure out what he wants to get repaired or get closing cost credits, or some other way of making the owner a little bit more responsible for the stuff that was wrong in their home that they've had they've been there for 14 years now. They closed in, I think, 06 or 07, so 14 or 13 years. Things that need to be maintained and changed and fixed and checked on. Having a house is like having a car. It's like having anything mechanical. If you don't keep your eyes on it and change your oil and check your mortar around your brick and your tuck pointing, well, something's going to have gone wrong, and if you let it go wrong long enough, it's just going to stop working. Same as, if you don't clean your HVAC systems out or your heating systems out, or if you don't have HVAC and you're running on radiator heat, bleeding your water lines and all those kind of things, all that buildup and all those issues will be more detrimental and financially costly down the road than if you just maintain it regularly like you should. But all of those things that we get on that report are then our bargaining chips. So when we come through on the attorney review period, we can basically sit and ask for, okay, hey, the HVAC system has been properly maintained. We need to verify that it has been maintained, pre-certified records, or, we would like you to have a full HVAC system flush performed, including all ductwork, new filters, and, give us a report of that. Or you ask for credits so you can do it yourself. If there's something wrong with the plumbing in the kitchen, you notice there's a lot of mold or water buildup or water damage, whether it's current or prior water damage, we can ask for a credit for repair. We can have them, bring in a handyman and fix the paneling under the sinks or under the tub, or, if there's ceiling rot from water damage from a toilet leaking or a tub leaking or bowling over, we ask for credits and that kind of stuff, or we ask for repairs. That's what the attorney review period is for, because then the attorneys speak with each other based on our behalf as the seller and buyer's client. We go back and forth between the attorneys with the contract and with the agents and each other to come to kind of a compromise as to what can be taken care of or done or fixed or not fixed, or what you're willing to do and not do. And usually at attorney review, if things don't get agreed on, that's kind of where contracts one of the first places contracts can fall apart, once executed, of course, because if you can't come to terms, well, then either one of you has to split hairs and deal with it, or the contract falls apart and you got to start looking for a new house again, and you got to put your house back on the market to sell. So inspections are huge. Inspections are really important, and that's kind of the first step after you get through your negotiations on a contract, is your inspection period, and that really kind of solidifies your financial cost off the bat, besides what you've put on the contract and what you've asked for closing cost credits and what you've asked for, for your tax prorations and things like that. Attorney review with your inspections is kind of the last time that you really get to have any sort of leg up on a seller, not in a take advantage sort of way, but knowing things that they wouldn't know about their own home because they don't do a regular type of detailed inspection like this on a regular basis. They're not selling their house all the time. So it's good to have, and it's good to keep those around. And especially too, if you don't get all of your things, your repairs and stuff agreed upon, keep that inspection report, because those are things that you're going to then have to worry about repairing and fixing yourself in the future should you go through with the contract. So that's what I want to talk about today, was inspections. Try to keep it brief. I know last time we were here, it was about 14 minutes or so. I could be wrong, but it's also been 2 weeks since that one, so I'm going to try to do these every Thursday if I can. Last week was just a little jam-packed with some client work and stuff. We had showings. So if you got any questions, or if you have any ideas or concerns, you want to know about inspections or other parts of contracts, especially for the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois, please don't feel hesitant to reach out. I'm happy to help you with whatever real estate questions or issues you may have that I have the ability to answer on, or that I have any knowledge on. So feel free to reach out. Hope to hear from you soon. Enjoy the rest of your days today, and please stay inside, stay healthy, and take care of each other. Thank you.